Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. I actually had to reshoot this intro as I was wearing a sundress yesterday when I shot the first half of this video. And just a note, don't wear a tube top when you're filming, because if you don't film low enough, it doesn't look like you're wearing any clothes. So I'm going to reshoot this intro. My name is Liz. I'm gardening in Zone 6B in Northwest Arkansas, and a lot of things are changing. So let's go ahead and take a look at the garden. This by far is the biggest new addition. I installed this last weekend and I couldn't be happier with it. Still adjusting the spray, figuring out which fountain part I like the best, but absolutely love how it looks, especially when you're sitting in these chairs back here and looking out at the garden. It's absolutely perfect for in the evenings. So let's take a look at the garden and see what's growing. In this first bed, as you enter the garden, I changed quite a few things. This white pot here, right here, used to be sweet peas. However, this is the second year I've tried growing them, and I just can't get them to grow. They either are getting too wet and it's not draining well enough, or it's too hot and I'm not planting them early enough. So what I did was I have been on the search for pineapple sage, and I actually found some at a nursery. So I am so excited to have this. I think it's absolutely beautiful. I do need to drill a hole in this seashell because it is killing my poor little snapdragons because it can't drain. So I'm gonna do that quite soon. The other thing that I added was this beautiful purple basil. Now I have the opal basil, but this is something different. This is called, well, this has it on it, red Reuben basil, and it's stunning. Purple all over. So beautiful. And then in here I have that secondary tomato, and I don't remember which variety it was. This patch right here are my beets, and they are looking fabulous. I don't know if you can see in there. So I'm gonna wait just a little bit longer, and hopefully I'll get enough that I can make some pickled beets, because that's what I'm growing them for. The calendula is closing up because it's a little later in the evening, and I have quite a few. These all reseeded. I did not plant any calendula in these beds. Also have this big guy. Nice big purple kohlrabi. I am so excited. This will be the first one I've grown. And then I have another white one. Can't wait to eat those. Got a couple of them in there. And then let's go around so I can tell you the variety of these tomatoes. So here's our striped Roma tomato. And it's looking really good. I've been pruning off the lower branches, as you can see. Looking really healthy. We have our white cherry, and we've got some blossoms on that one, also looking very healthy. More calendula, and I've got some basil sprouting in here. This is the purple bumblebee. There's some blossoms on that one. Another kohlrabi, more calendula, and then this is our Paul Robeson. And look, we have babies. Super excited. So many of the plants have tomatoes already forming, and I cannot wait to see which is the first one to ripen. This again is the candy stripe zinnias. They're getting nice and tall, so hopefully we'll have flowers soon. Bella's checking it out. In this bed, we have our tomato and our champagne bubbles. We have nasturtium, borage, basil, and in the back are our perennial sweet peas. And as you can see, we've got some tomatoes forming on this one as well, which is the champagne bubbles. And then we've got one on the tomato. I did just get done watering. This chocolate mint is looking pretty sad, but that should perk up in the morning. Now this is crazy. Look at all these tomatoes. This is the Napa Chardonnay Lush, and it has a ton of tomatoes. And as you can see, this little branch here, I put a white ribbon around. These are the ones that I had in a blossom bag, and I'm going to save the seeds from. So this will be my first attempt at saving seeds, and I'm really excited. I've got some more basil, some sweet alyssum, and again, in all the beds I planted borage and nasturtiums, and then this one has the basil in the corner. Here we have one of the end beds of the trellises, which are still pretty bare, but this was where I had all the lettuce, and I ripped that out and planted zinnias, and I had this kaleidoscope carrots growing in the middle, and I'm gonna insert a picture and show you. I pulled one out yesterday and it was pretty funny, and now I know what the problem is, so I'm gonna have to make some amendments to the bed to do this again in fall. I am still growing kale, although it's getting pretty eaten by the bugs. I'm hoping it'll just go to seed and then I'll save the seeds. This is the sugar daddy sugar snap peas, and they're still producing, just a lot slower growth than the sugar magnolia tendril peas. I'm beyond excited for this because I honestly thought none of these were gonna grow. This is the Cantaloupe, the Minnesota midget, and it's obviously really short. But we finally have blossoms, so I'm really excited, and I hope this takes off. And then these little guys are the cucamelons, which I also thought were not gonna do anything, and I was worried were just dead. So they're grabbing on, and hopefully they'll start a quick climb. Back here at the back of the garden, I have the thornless blackberry, replanted zinnias yet again, gladiolas, which just seem to be growing leaves and nothing else, and then some more zinnias. I don't know what's happening with my zinnias this year. I have not gotten any to grow decent at all, which I'm really sad because last year I had a beautiful bed of them. This is in the middle bed of the trellises, and I honestly can't remember what's in the middle here, so I'm gonna have to look up on my drawings and I'll insert that on the screen. But it's growing really well, and I'm very excited to see that. And then there's a couple over here that are growing. Unfortunately, my calendula that I planted in here is not growing really well. And again, the sugar snap peas are just really short. Down the center is the garlic, which I planted really late, so it's gonna be probably another few months before we even think about looking at that. And let me go around to the other side. I've replanted my cucumbers 3 times. This was the 3rd round. This is the Marketmore cucumbers, and they are just now getting started. I don't know if I'm just gonna be really far behind. No idea if these are gonna actually do anything, but I'm just gonna keep watching them and hope that they take off. None of my cucumbers are any taller than this, unless that one that I showed you before is a cucumber. Otherwise, I'll just have to be patient. Here we have the sugar magnolia tendril peas, and they are so pretty and growing like crazy. They are now making it over the top of the trellis, and I keep bending them, so hopefully this will be a complete trellis. I will probably grow these on the other side next year, because now the trellises are definitely not matching, and that just really bothers me. Everything has to be symmetrical, so this is really kind of throwing me off. But isn't that pretty? I love how they took off. They are struggling because it's been in the 90s and it's been really hot and not a lot of rain. So they are starting to yellow, but I may just pull out that one strand that's dying off and let the rest of them go. In here you can hardly see, but I planted a whole row of calendula that is sadly kind of getting hidden by all this kohlrabi. These also aren't heading up very well. They're pretty small, but I'm doing my best. That one back there looks pretty good. Sorry, it's getting a little dark, so I need to hurry up. But I wanted to show you guys, here, I'm so excited because this is our pineapple ground cherry, and we have a bunch of blooms and a couple little ground cherries forming. So we have that plant, that little one that is struggling to take off, and then we have this one over here, and there's a couple on this one too. And I've never grown ground cherries, so I'm extremely excited to see what they taste like. Now here, I had a bunch of lettuce, and I replanted this with holy basil, cilantro, and something else, and none of it came up. So I'm gonna have to try again. I don't think I kept it wet enough to let the seeds germinate, so I'm gonna give that a shot again. But this trellis looks really nice. I'm really, really happy with how that turned out. On this side, we have the Ukrainian purple tomato. It has looked sad from day one. Real thin leaves, hardly any fullness to it at all. As you can see, just real sad looking. But tomatoes are forming like crazy, and look guys, look at this. That's pretty big. So I'm excited. Never grown this one variety. I've never grown this variety either. In fact, all of these are new except the one on the very end that I'll show you. But anything with purple in the name has me excited. So this one is definitely the tallest plant that I have, even though it looks the saddest. So in here again, we have borage, basil, nasturtium, sunflowers, and then it repeats on the other side. It's really starting to get dark. I thought I would be able to get this done in time. I still have quite a bit left to go. I still have this whole bed and plus a couple more over here. So I think I'm gonna cut this for tonight, and I'll come back in the morning and show you the rest. I left off yesterday with the Ukrainian purple. The sun is still up pretty high. Those are sunflowers that have regrown in the kids' fairy garden. And then the next bed that we were starting to look at was this Tessa's Landrace Currant. Now this tomato plant, I was really struggling with. It looked like tomato hornworm damage. And I plucked off the parts. Like there's a little bit over here you can see on this leaf. But it's not out of control. So I have a black light. I brought it out, I didn't see anything. It's producing tomatoes, it looks healthy, it's growing really well. But every once in a while I get these branches that look like something is eating on it. So maybe I'll have to come out again tonight and check. In this bed again, we have borage, sunflowers. In the back are those perennial sweet peas, more basil, my oyas, which are serving their purpose well. I just keep those filled so that it keeps the tomatoes healthy and happy. This is our Brad's Atomic Grape. And I've got a blossom bag on it because I really, really want to save the seeds from this. And as you can see, we've got a couple new little tomatoes forming. And then this is the biggest one we have. And I cannot wait. It's so beautiful. I didn't realize how pretty they were gonna be. So we're definitely gonna try to save some seeds off of this plant. And it's also growing rather thin, but still very healthy, putting off lots of blossoms. So we'll keep an eye on that. But also a nice, happy looking bed. And I thought the sweet peas would look really pretty on this trellis, but they're really slow. So I don't know if they're gonna just not do anything or if I need to plant them earlier. This is the last large tomato bed, and it's nice and full. Everything is just really exploding. This is the green zebra tomato, and look, you can already see the striping on it. Isn't that, it's so unique. I'm so excited. All these varieties of tomatoes are so beautiful. Each one is a little different. This barrage is two-tone. Usually they're that blue color that you can see. Oh, look, we have a little friend. I don't know if you can see him. Very exciting and happy to see. So again, this is the green zebra. And then this, guys, is incredible. This is the red centiflora. And there's gotta be hundreds, if not thousands, of blossoms. And look at all the tomatoes that are already setting. It's so happy. I've been trying to find a good blossom set, so I'm gonna pick this one to try to save the seeds from this. And another little sucker that I missed. This thing's just exploding. There's tomatoes everywhere in here. And again, this is the red centiflora. And then I have a little bit of dark opal basil, just one little shoot. Hopefully that'll grow bigger. And then I have a couple different oyas. I've got 3 different ones, as you can see in here. Here is our beautiful Cherokee purple. And look how happy that is. Also need to find a blossom set so that I can save seeds. But also looking very healthy, setting off a lot of suckers and shoots, so I'm just trying to keep up with that. And here, I have a volunteer, and it's got a couple blossoms on it, so I'm gonna leave it and see what that ends up being. I did have Sweetie Tomato, which is this plant here, last year, but I also had a Roma tomato. Again, like I was saying, this is the Sweetie Tomato. This was Katie's favorite one from last year, and it's growing really well. So that ends up being the final big tomato bed. This is some new basil that I purchased, and look how stunning these purple blossoms are. This is the African blue basil, and then this is another Ukrainian purple tomato that I have in here, and it's getting really tall and leggy. but also putting off lots of blossoms. This is another new addition to the garden. This is Rosy Posy Anise Hyssop, and it's really pretty. So I've got the pineapple sage on one side, and now I've got this anise hyssop in the other. We've got a lot of sunflowers, borage. These are all self-seeded. This is probably going to get tied up or pulled back. Tons of basil. This is my favorite basil. This is Aton, and it is such a fantastic producer. Best for making bruschetta. A couple more beets. There's some more little Cherokee purple tomatoes. I cannot wait to taste my first tomato of the season. Nice big sunflower here. A couple more here. And then more beets and nasturtium. And here's a look on the other side of that centiflora. It's just nuts. I can't wait till these start ripening. So that is it for all the vegetables. Let me come back here. The sun hasn't gone completely down yet, but it's still a beautiful evening, and the fountain in the back. Here we have the carnations, and I think snapdragons. Actually, let me look. I have brought my notebook out here. I found this at Walmart, and I love it. It is actually for gardening. And it's upside down. Just give me a second here. Those are my seeds I planted in. Let's see, you can draw. I made notes of everything that was growing, what changed. So now I can tell you what was in that bed. I have my wish list. This is how the garden is laid out. So yes, in this bed is where I think I have the carnations and these are all the seeds I purchased this last year. My wish list, seeds I got, seed wish list I've been crossing off and checking off as I do seed swaps. This has been just a great little book. So here's another example where I pulled stuff out, like this lettuce I pulled out and then replanted, and then none of this grew. And so I added new things and kind of made notes as I went. So this has been really helpful. Like I said, I got it at Walmart, and it's small. You know, it's the size of my hand, but really great resource. Another new addition is this wind chime that I got from a seed swap group that I'm in, and they do a swap garden related, and last month was wind chimes, and it's so beautiful. Need to get a better hook for it. In the middle here, I forgot to say too, is the dill, and I planted this solely. Isn't that pretty? Oh, I love it. So pretty. I originally planted this for the swallowtail butterflies, and I don't see a single egg. I haven't seen any in our yard. So if not, I have lots of dill growing, and it smells so good, so I'm not upset about it. Here we have the elderberry, the strawberries, our fig tree that is looking fantastic and happy. This is another little tomato that lost his tag. No idea what it is, but it's blossoming, so we're gonna leave it. And then here are the foxglove, which are starting to dry out, so I'll be able to save seeds. And I'm gonna insert a clip. I did pull some seeds off and started those drying so that I can save them. And I'm also thrilled the bee balm is blooming, and it is so beautiful. Sadly, down in the middle here, way down here, is supposed to be the Mexican torch sunflowers. Those little guys down there, I don't think they're gonna grow. and I'm really bummed. So I'm gonna have to plant them somewhere else so that I can get some this year. Oh, here's another good example of this. So inside of here, let's see if I can do this without spilling all the seeds. I don't think I can. Just using my hands. But inside here are all the little seeds of the foxglove. So you can see kind of those tiny little things are the seeds. So I've been harvesting them as I see them. These I'm going to just throw back in because I want to get this established with more of them. They are all dying back. As you can see, they're tipping over and they're struggling. But as they dry, I'll start collecting them. Same with this lupine. It's done for the season, but I've got all these seed pods. So I'll be saving lupine so that I can share that with others. And here we have the final tomato of the main garden down here. This is called the Tiny Tim. As you can see, got my little label here, Tiny Tim. These leaves have looked like this from day one, and I just keep pulling them off, but it is setting lots of fruit. I'm gonna collect some seeds from these tomatoes, but this shouldn't get much taller. This is supposed to be a determinant, so we'll see. Something that is not part of the main garden are these two pots that I have where our gazebo used to be, and I planted peppers in it because I've heard that they like to be in close quarters. And as you can see, we've got some little pepper blossoms. These are the jigsaw peppers, these ones with the variegated leaves, and then this is a jalapeno. And over here on the other side is another jigsaw pepper, and then our green bell peppers. So really happy. These are starting to pick up now that it's been so hot. We have very exciting things happening on the deck garden. Tomatoes are doing fantastic, couple different varieties. And look, our little orange currant tomatoes are starting to turn. I cannot wait. These will be the first ones we'll get to eat, and I can already taste them. It's gonna be so fun sitting here on the deck with the lights on, listening to the water. And then we have this other side, which is our strawberries, and these are doing fantastic. Look, we got a couple more. I do need to get this watered and trim some of these leaves. All our little varieties of basil. These are the Get Stuffed tomatoes, which are putting off blossoms. This one's a little slower. I think this pot is too small. And these are the carnations that are still struggling. So I'm gonna water that again tonight and see if we can't perk that up. And this is the side. And this I've never shown you. This is a gardenia. And it's beautiful. And I don't know if you can see, but in there is a bird nest, and I'll insert a photo. I was trimming this back. This is a side path down our deck. That's all the stuff that I trimmed off on the bottom there, but it was starting to pull the trees over in the wind, so I cut this all back today and found that little bird nest. So that's it. Oh, I'll show you a view that I rarely take. Hold on one second. This is the view from up on the deck. Back there is the pollinator garden, which I'm going to do a tour of probably tomorrow. And then this looks down onto the garden up here, and then the fountain down below. Very, very grateful to have this view in this special place, especially during these times of stress and isolation, this has been an absolute godsend to help keep me sane. Oh, there goes a mourning dove. So that's it for the garden tour for this week. I'm sorry I'm a few weeks behind, but it has really exploded over these last couple weeks with all the rain that we've gotten. And I'm really happy with how everything's coming, and I cannot wait to taste our first tomato. With that, I'm gonna let you go, and I hope you are all staying healthy and staying positive as we start to reopen and get back to a new normal. God bless.